Try it for just 5 days. I'm serious. If you follow these 5 easy steps, you're going to lose 5 to 10 pounds in the first 5 days. Not just water weight, by the way, but stubborn belly fat around your stomach. How do I know this works? I've applied it to thousands of students all across the world, and it works like a charm. Not only will you burn fat, you'll have more energy, feel less bloated, your cravings will vanish, and you'll wake up your metabolism. No calorie counting required, no starvation, no willpower required. As a matter of fact, this protocol is very easy. Let's start with the first step. And just keep in mind, all 5 of these steps need to be implemented to get the biggest bang for your buck. The first thing we want to do is lower cell inflammation. All right, you've heard of inflammation before. We have acute inflammation when you sprain an ankle, you're sore from a workout. I'm not talking about that. I'm referring to cell membrane inflammation that is chronic. When your cells are inflamed, your fat-burning hormones cannot get into the cell. Not just your fat-burning hormone, your thyroid hormone, T3, your satiety hormone, leptin, and all 600 hormones have a difficult time getting into the cell, producing energy, and burning fat. It's all because of inflammation. It's blocking the communication. It's like if I hit mute on my mic, I'll be shouting at you, but you can't hear me. There will be dysfunction. That's the same thing when you have too much cell inflammation. And this is non-negotiable. There are 5 foods you're probably eating that's leading to cell inflammation. When you remove these foods, you lower inflammation, you burn fat, you extend your lifespan. I'll outline these 5 foods here in step number 1. These are the foods you need to remove from your diet. The first food is an ingredient called high fructose corn syrup. 90% of it is metabolized by your fat-burning detoxification organ called the liver. And when you overwhelm that liver by consuming high fructose corn syrup, guess what happens? You develop fatty liver. Fat loss slows down, inflammation goes up. Not only does it wreck your liver, it creates fat storage and it spikes your insulin levels. The tricky part is that high fructose corn syrup is found in a lot of ingredients, even ingredients you might think are healthy, like condiments, ketchup, barbecue sauce, and salad dressing. So what you want to do, turn that label over, read the ingredients list, and if it has anything that says high fructose corn syrup, don't eat it. The second food that's highly inflammatory are seed oils. Seed oils are found in 80% of our entire food supply. They create massive amounts of cell inflammation, weight loss resistance, hormonal problems, and eventually chronic disease. You're going to find seed oils in a lot of packaged and boxed foods. You're also going to find them at most of your restaurants, even healthy restaurants, even high-end restaurants. And if you go to Whole Foods supermarket, you'll even find these seed oils at their hot food bar. I'm going to give you 8 of the ones you want to look out for and avoid. I'll give you some healthier swaps as well. The 8 are going to be canola oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, soybean oil, rice bran oil, and grapeseed oil. I'm going to throw in another controversial fat that I want you to avoid, and that's also fish oil. It does more harm than good. So avoid those 9 fats. Instead, swap them for saturated fats and monounsaturated fats. What are those? Butter, ghee, beef tallow, duck fat, coconut oil, avocado oil, and even olive oil. This simple swap right here, you will lower inflammation on that first day, burn fat, and have more energy. The third food you want to avoid that creates massive amounts of cell inflammation is going to be processed carbohydrates. Think white bread, even wheat bread, which by the way, wheat bread spikes your blood sugar as much as soda or a Snickers bar. Think crackers, pastries, donuts, anything that comes in a box or a bag that has a long ingredients label will be processed. When you buy an avocado, when you buy eggs, when you buy beef, there's no ingredient list. You're getting what you see. If you buy a potato, you get what you see, but when you buy potato chips, you get 20 ingredients that typically have seed oils, artificial ingredients that are highly inflammatory. So eat single ingredient food. Stay away from processed junk food. Those processed foods spike your blood sugar levels dramatically. And then the hormone insulin, which is your only fat storage hormone, is cold and it signals fat storage. Your energy levels plummet, you feel inflamed, and you have a hard time burning fat. The fourth food that's highly inflammatory might be a shocker, but that's going to be fruit juice and smoothies. A lot of people think, hey, I did a nice workout or a run. I'm going to go to Jamba Juice. I'm going to make this blended smoothie or fruit juice, but it is a sugar bomb and it's a concentrated dose of fructose. And we just established fructose 90% of it is metabolized by your liver. We don't want to overwhelm that very important detoxification and fat loss organ, liver. Even the green juices are problematic. When you juice and blend these fruits, it strips the fiber and floods your bloodstream full of sugar. It's like mainlining fructose directly to your liver. The fifth thing you want to avoid is too many carbohydrates in general, even whole food carbohydrates like sweet potatoes and rice and even oatmeal, because when you are already in a state of inflammation, when you already have extra weight on your body, which is why you're listening or watching this video, having too much carbohydrates will spike insulin, keeping your body in a fat storage state. Always remember this. I talk about this in my brand new book, Metabolic Freedom. I want this to stick and to land and to be a brain tattoo for you. Always remember, when you have high levels of insulin, you signal fat storage. When you have low levels of insulin, you are fat burning. You're using belly fat for fuel. And when we think about the three macronutrients, carbohydrates, protein, and fat, as you can see from this graph, it is carbohydrates that spike your blood insulin more than protein and fat. So a general rule of thumb here, during these first 5 days, gradually lower your carbohydrates until by day 5, you should be under 100 grams of total carbs for the day. And if you're a go-getter and an overachiever, even better, no more than 50 grams of carbs by day 5. That's total carbs, not net. This is still the first step here. You're removing these inflammatory foods. Let's move on to the second step in your 5-step protocol here. Step number 2 here in your protocol is a game changer. And that's going to be no food at least 3 hours before bed and no snacking in between your meals. Let's start with the first part here. When you eat too close to bedtime, it destroys your sleep. And sleep, my friend, is where you burn fat, you detoxify, you heal your body. If you're not sleeping, you're not healing. You're not burning fat. You're storing fat. Numerous studies that I talk about in chapter 6 of Metabolic Freedom show that when you get less than 6 hours of sleep, you are in a fat storage state. You are inflamed, you are hungry, or you are less satisfied. You can mimic blood sugar levels of people that are insulin resistant and diabetic just from poor sleep. When you eat too close to bedtime, you are using energy for digestion, not for healing. It raises your body temperature, raises your heart rate. That's the complete opposite of what you want. We want to lower the body temperature. We want to lower the resting heart rate. We want to increase something called heart rate variability because that helps you achieve deep fat burning sleep. One of the quickest ways to age yourself, put on fat, and create weight loss resistance and hormone resistance is to eat before bed. Not to mention, if you struggle with acid reflux, GERD, digestive issues, that is ramping up those symptoms because when you eat food and lie down horizontally, that is not the way we're designed to digest food. So close the kitchen at least 3 hours before bed. And if you're an overachiever, at least 5 hours before bed. So if you go to bed at 11 p.m., kitchen should be closed by at least 8 p.m. and even better, 6 p.m. Here's a trick that I do. When I finish my last meal, and I typically have mine around 5 p.m., I go to bed around 10 p.m., I brush my teeth. That helps me not eat anything too close to bed because we don't want to brush our teeth twice. So that's a tip for you. The second thing you want to do is you want to eliminate the snacks in between your meals. Just have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. No snacking in between. Even if it's a healthy snack, you spike glucose and insulin, put the body in a fat storage state. So we don't want to do that during these 5 days. So you want to eliminate the snacks in between meals, have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and no food at least 3 to 5 hours before bedtime. The third step in your protocol is to go for a 10 up to 30-minute walk after all of your meals. This might not be the most practical tip because you're thinking, Ben, I have a job, I have a life. How do I walk after all my meals? Well, I'll give you some tips here. The optimal approach is a 30-minute walk after all meals. If you could do 10 minutes, that's still beneficial. But if you could just choose at least one meal every day during these 5 days, ideally your biggest meal of the day, and go for a walk after that, you'll get major fat loss benefits. Here's why. When we eat food, we convert that food into sugar inside of the body. That's why the blood glucose levels increase. Insulin is produced to clear that excess glucose out of the bloodstream because it's considered a toxic state when it's elevated. And insulin is an energy sensor that then clears the excess glucose out of the bloodstream and sends them where? To your body fat. And it's stored there. The higher your glucose levels go after eating, the more insulin is produced, the more fat you store. Enter what's called postprandial walking. walking after a meal. When you walk after a meal at as little as 10 minutes, you blunt that glucose spike, which means less insulin is produced, which means you go into a fat burning state much faster. It works like a charm. It improves digestion. You could go outside for a walk. You could walk underneath your desk with a walking treadmill. Heck, you could just walk around your house for 10 minutes. Do that after all your meals, and if not, at least your biggest meal of the day. Let's move on to step 4 of your protocol here. I want you to consume 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar with water 30 minutes before all of your meals, or at least before your biggest meal of the day. Apple cider vinegar slows gastric emptying, reduces that post-meal blood sugar spike. Remember, less insulin is now being produced. You go into a fat burning state much quicker, enhances insulin sensitivity, and boosts satiety. Apple cider vinegar contains a really powerful short-chain fatty acid called acetic acid, which is a powerhouse for allowing you to be insulin sensitive, which is so important for fat burning. So you want to consume that 30 minutes before a meal, 8 ounces of spring water, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. You want to drink it through a straw, ideally, because if you drink it straight up, it could corrode your teeth over time. But through a straw and diluted with water, it protects your teeth, it protects your enamel. I personally use apple cider vinegar capsules because I don't like the taste of apple cider vinegar, and I have a coupon code for Paleo Valley's apple cider vinegar complex, which I'll drop down below in the notes. You'll notice when you take the apple cider vinegar before your meals, less bloating, less digestive issues, less acid reflux and GERD, because it actually improves those conditions. And of course, more fat loss and more energy. You don't get that post-meal crash, which then you want to rely on sugar or a Red Bull or a 4-hour energy drink to keep your energy levels up. You don't have to do that because those things are toxic. Apple cider vinegar is the game changer here. Okay, step number 5 in your protocol. You want to consume at least 40 grams of protein at all of your meals. Here's why. Protein is the ultimate fat loss macronutrient. When you eat 40 grams of protein at all of your meals, here's what's going to happen. You boost muscle protein synthesis. That's important because this increases your metabolic rate. It allows you to burn more fat when you're just sitting on the couch. Muscle mass is so important for longevity and fat loss. The more muscle mass you build through protein, the more insulin sensitive you are. These receptor sites in your muscle cells act like a sponge to absorb glucose, so less insulin is produced, which is the key for fat loss. You also reduce the hunger hormone ghrelin when you have enough protein. Ghrelin is that hormone that tells you go to the pantry, eat the Oreos, eat the ice cream, eat the Doritos. We could blunt that ghrelin response with protein because protein activates, not to get too scientific, but these are chemicals called cholecystokinin, leptin, peptide, YY, which simply mean these are chemicals that help you feel full and satiated, prevents you from overeating, prevents you from snacking in between meals, which all helps with fat loss. Think about this. If you went to a restaurant, let's say it's a steakhouse, and you ordered a 24-ounce steak, that's a lot of protein. And the owner noticed that you ate the entire steak, and he or she says, "We are so impressed, we're going to give you another steak on the house." Do you think you could eat another steak? You're going to be so full and so satiated. But if the owner said, "We're going to give you a free slice of cake on the house or a free sugary drink on the house," you could drink that or eat that because it does, the sugar and the carbs do not activate those same hormones and chemicals that help you feel full and satiated. Protein activates the thermic effect of food, thermogenesis, which simply means you burn more calories by eating more protein. It increases your resting metabolic rate. So here are some examples of what 40 grams of protein looks like at each meals. Each example will be 40 grams, so you could have this breakfast, lunch, dinner, rotate it. 6 ounces of grass-fed beef is 40 grams of protein. 7 eggs is 40 grams of protein. 2 scoops of a clean protein powder is 40 grams of protein. I personally use Equip Protein over at equipfoods.com/Ben-Azadi for 20% off. Wild caught salmon fillet is 40 grams of protein. So those are some examples. I wanted to make this easy for you. Prioritize protein. You burn more fat. You'll have less cravings. Look, before I get to your questions here, you're going to notice following these 5 steps, in 5 days, you're going to have more energy, more fat loss. It's going to get you so much momentum to keep going so you achieve your ideal body weight. Now, I'm going to get to your questions, which I'm sure you have a bunch watching and listening that I will address right now. But I have a 30-day plan in my brand new book called Metabolic Freedom. This plan, you could lose up to 20 pounds in 30 days. As a matter of fact, John Miller did this and he lost 44 pounds in 30 days. But I outline the best foods for your metabolism, the foods that destroy your metabolism, how to apply keto and fasting, how to use your mind to burn fat and increase longevity, and my favorite biohacks for fat loss and longevity. Not to mention, there are 50 recipes of fat burning recipes at the back of the book. The book just came out. It's a New York Times bestseller. You could get it on hardcover, Kindle, Audible, or Spotify. I narrated the audios myself by either scanning the QR code on the screen or going to metabolicfreedombook.com. We're actually giving away an entire course on the metabolism for anybody who purchases the book today. We'll also drop that link in the notes down below. It's metabolicfreedombook.com. Let's get to the first question. Can I still lose fat if I don't work out while doing these 5 steps? Yes, you'll still get results. You'll still lose fat. You'll get amazing results without even exercising, without even working out. Now, if you add in strength training or a fasted workout, fasted cardio, you'll get even more fat loss. Question number 2, how long after the 5 days should I expect to see a real fat loss on the scale or in my clothes? You'll see it within those 5 days. So if you start on Monday, on Friday of that week, you're going to notice the scale has gone down 5 to 10 pounds on average, and your clothes start to fit better. But more important than that, you'll have more confidence and more energy. Can I follow this plan if I'm already doing keto and fasting? How do I combine them? For sure. Just follow all the other tips. So if you're already doing fasting, continue with your fasting schedule. If you're already doing keto, continue with your carbs being low to being ketosis and just follow all the other steps. The apple cider vinegar, no eating before bed, the walking after meals, etc. What are some plant-based or dairy-free options to hit the 40 grams of protein per meal? You could get organic tempeh, organic tofu. Those are some good examples of getting enough protein for your 40 grams of protein for each meal. Do I need to track macros or calories if I'm hitting 40 grams per meal? I gave you some examples that hit those 40 grams, but you might want to input your food into a free calculator to see how many carbs you're having. I use Chronometer for that. It's a free app over at chronometer.com/ketocamp, and I'll drop a link for that in the notes down below for you as well. Does walking on a treadmill count, or does it have to be outdoors? It all counts. It could be walking on a treadmill. It could be walking around your house. The best thing to do is to go outside and walk outdoors. You get the best benefits, but it all works. Just get those steps 10 minutes to 30 minutes after your meals. Can I drink coffee or tea after dinner? Or does that break the 3 hours before bed rule? I don't recommend coffee at night. That'll disrupt your sleep. But if it's a non-caffeinated organic herbal tea, like chamomile, something like that, that's fine to have during that window before bed. It's not going to break your fast. Are there any safe smoothies or juices that I can have that won't spike my blood sugar levels? No, they're all going to spike your blood sugar levels. I would avoid it at least for these 5 days so we get you some serious momentum. How do I know if a food contains seed oils if it's not clearly listed on the label? Well, it would be listed on the label. It'll say vegetable oil, seed oils. It'll say any of these oils I outlined earlier. If you don't see it, then it doesn't contain it. When you go to restaurants, it's a different story. What I do is I use my seed oil allergy card, which shows the server I'm allergic and they don't cook with those bad fats. And you could download this free seed oil card by going to seedoilcard.com. And I will also drop that link in the notes down below. What should I do after the 5 days are up to keep losing fat and not to rebound? That's where I want you to get Metabolic Freedom, my brand new book, and then follow this 30-day plan, because that'll get you some serious momentum. And it's all laid out for you. There's a beginner plan, an advanced plan. Go to metabolicfreedombook.com to get it. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. I'm excited to hear about your progress. Come back to the YouTube channel and share with me your results after 5 days. Share this episode with a friend. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll see you on the next episode. And if you love this episode, I have a previous video I just launched on a 14-day protocol that targets visceral fat. That is the fat around your organs that leads to chronic disease. I have an easy protocol to melt that visceral fat. So check out the clip from that lesson, click the video on the screen, and I'll see you in that video. And I